All right, this lecture we're going to be covering toddler development, nutrition, and health promotion. A toddler is generally defined as a child between the ages of 12 months and 36 months. So this age is all about exploring, and one of the major tasks for toddlers is to learn how to be independent. And this is why toddlers insist on doing things on their own and love to say no. So toddlers are in the stage of autonomy versus shame and doubt. They begin to realize their will and their control over others. And toddlers have this continual internal debate over like exercising this will, but also they still want to enjoy dependence and security from their caregivers. The doubt and shame component enters when a child is continually reprimanded or stopped from exerting their own will. And so it really is a tricky balance trying to foster independence in a safe place with boundaries. And parents struggle a lot with this stage. Negativism is another important part of their psychosocial development and is defined as persistent negative responses to requests. But it's the only control they have, right? And this is why in the hospital, you as students are encouraged to use firm boundaries and only provide appropriate choices to a child this age, because they can and will say no at every opportunity just because they can. And then in the hospital, when they are even in less control, that tends to come up even more and a little bit more forcefully for them. Routines work well to combat some of this, as they allow the child the independence and the sense of autonomy that they crave. If they know the steps to getting ready for school in the morning or for daycare, they can start to do some of those things on their own and fulfill that need that they have. So this is a good rundown of toddler highlights. Toilet training comes into the forefront as they can now physiologically control their bladder and their bowel, and they have interest in doing this task on their own. Being able to choose food and clothing is also a small way that toddlers can control their world. Pickiness is a result of this sometimes. We mentioned no already, but I cannot emphasize it enough. If you've ever babysat a toddler or if you have younger siblings, you probably are well aware of this phenomenon already. At this stage, toddlers are super into experimentation. Okay, for their cognitive development, it is a really big part. They use their new skills with their previous learning, and then they observe the results. So they're essentially little scientists. They straddle the end of the sensory motor phase and the beginning of pre-operational. So 13 to 18-month-old toddlers may repeat actions to see if the result is the same, like flipping a light switch, right? If I flip the light switch in this room, will it turn on the light over here? This can annoy parents to no end, but there is a purpose to it. By 19 to 24 months, they are going to actively search for objects that are in a potential hiding place, rather than just knowing it's out of sight because you put it behind a pillow. So they could go into another room and recall that a toy was in bed there at some point, and they will check to see if it's still there. They will also mimic adult tasks like cleaning, housework, and yard work. As they move toward the age of 2, they will begin to finally wait for something rather than relying so much on instant gratification. So this is where statements such as, we're not going to have that for snack right now, but you can have it for dessert later might work. Sometimes it doesn't, because you're still up against that need for control and autonomy, but they can understand that not everything that they want or need is going to happen right away. If grandma or grandpa is coming over tomorrow, they know that that's not necessarily right now, and they're starting to understand that delayed gratification part. They are quite egocentric at this age, and they will also tend to focus on one aspect of an object or a situation, which is called centration. So this is seen when you get a banana for a child and you cut it in half because you think that you're helping, and now it's deemed completely unacceptable by that child because the banana is no longer whole. Or they might love cheese, but only yellow cheese because it's not the same cheese if it's white. This can be really frustrating for adults who don't understand why it's a big deal, and to these children, it is a very big deal. With animism, they might do something like apologize to a toy if their toy car crashes into something, or they start to, treat their stuffed animals as alive and having feelings. Socially, we begin to see separation and individualization, and these kind of work hand in hand. The ritual of separating and reuniting with a child this age actually helps cement this concept and eventually helps them to be more prepared for school. You will see this in their play. They will often wander farther away than they once did, knowing that their parent is still waiting for them. As for the individualization, toddlers want to be their own person, and so they begin to identify achievements and objects that can help them still feel safe and protected while venturing out to be the little independent humans that they want to be. Transitional objects, by the way, can be stuffies, but they could also just be trucks, or they could be a piece of paper. There was a time where one of my daughters had a pen, and that pen had to go everywhere with her. Could she write with it? No, but that pen somehow signified home and a safe place for her, and she carried the pen around for a little bit until she transferred that need to something else. So don't judge. Anything can be a transitional object. Speech also explodes at this time. At 12 months of age, they have about 3 to 5 words, but by 2, they have increased that to 50. Okay, so it's really exponential. Their comprehension also increases, and it's often it often includes a lot more than they can actually express. So conversations at this age are really important for their learning. And that's actual conversations with adults in their life rather than taking in passively in television or screens. It's still really important to talk to these kids and to use full sentences and, speak to them in a way that they're going to sort of model after. A 1-year-old child will use a 1-word phrase, while a 2-year-old child will use a 2-word phrase. So easy memorization there. They may transition, from mama to mama go, for example. So what about motor development? So this slows a bit, you're welcome, compared to the first year. The asterisks there are the ones to really focus on. 12 months, they're walking and they're doing 2 cube towers. By 18 months, they're getting into that overhand throw and building a 3 to 4 cube tower. This stage of 18 months to about 2.5 years is sometimes called the age of maximum effort, like in Montessori, because these kids love to pull and push and use all their strength to manipulate things, and they will often be able to conquer more physical tasks because they're just so willing to try. By 2 years, they are running and they are turning doorknobs, as well as building 6 to 7 cube towers. And then by 2.5, they can jump with both feet and they can draw a circle. So play is the work of children, but toddlers especially. This is where they learn everything, how to interact with people, how to interact with the world around them. It becomes very important. As toddlers, they're still engaging in parallel play. So they're not interacting with each other, but one child may be working on a puzzle while the other one is stacking some blocks. Imitation, we've discussed already, in the form of mimicry, of doing adult tasks as play. And then for tactile play, this is things like ride on toys, anything that really is sensory for them. Slides, swings, playing with things like water or sand or music all provide a lot of great stimulation for toddlers. And so as far as anticipatory guidance goes, we really want to guide parents into the selection of appropriate toys for this age group to allow these children a safe way to express their developmental needs, but also to remain safe. So that is all for this section of toddlers. Hope you guys have a great day.